Good morning, everybody. Matt Moda here to give you my favorite NBA player prop picks. We're talking Friday, October 31st. Happy Friday, happy Halloween, happy all that stuff. The Splash Zone is back in your life. I'm going to have 4 NBA player prop picks for you guys to lock in for today's NBA betting slate. 3 of them just taken for a unit normal plays. 1 player I'm taking for a juicy ladder just at a lower unit size. Before we get into that, we do have to do a recap from yesterday, which was very, very frustrating. Now, not frustrating because we had a bunch of bad beats, but it was just the way in which I played it. Now, Trey Johnson, can't really complain about him. He didn't come close. He did make 2 3-pointers, but if people complain about hooks and they're betting anything below 10, I don't think you're well within your right to do that. That's just one of my personal beliefs. What was frustrating was that I decided to go bold on SGA and Steph Curry. SGA, 7 assists. I didn't like the value, so I took 8 at plus 152. Guess what? He had 7 assists. Not a hook, but he would have cashed the main line. Steph Curry, same thing here. I didn't like the value on him to go over 26.5 points. I took 30 plus, put 3/4 of a unit. Guess what? He scored 27 points. So really just played wrong for me, which is what ended up happening with our down 1.5 units yesterday. The first quarter props continue to be a king, but really, really frustrating in terms of if I just didn't go as bold as I did, we would have hit 3 of 4 and things would have looked a lot better. But you can only go with what you do. If people did end up taking the lower lines, you were able to cash out. I am tracking what I officially gave out. So, we had a good run heading into yesterday, heading into actually the last 2 days. We've been down 2 days in a row. We were up like 5 of 6 days heading into that. Really, we're still making our way back from the beginning of the year where I lost my first 6 plays, basically have broken even since then. So not quite how we wanted things to go yesterday. I really did like what our card was, just kind of how things worked out. But we'll turn it around today, Friday. Everybody's happy on a Friday. Appreciate everybody for watching. Make sure to like the video, comment, subscribe. Checking out Props Madness, which is the player prop tool that I use. Very, very helpful stuff. And the first play actually is in this game you see right here, the first game of the night, Hawks versus Pacers. I'm going with the guy that burned us 2 nights ago, Pascal Siakam, but I'm taking him on the double-double. So last game, if you'll allow me to just complain a little bit, I took him 5 and 7 assists last game. He only had 3, so he didn't even come close. He had 13 potential assists. You should at least have 5 assists on 13 potentials. You could even get 7. That's not that crazy. So if you want to go back to his assists, I honestly don't hate that. The double-double is just way safer. Now, he's done that in 3 of 4 games. Obviously, all 3 times he's gotten a double-double is with the rebounds. And normally that would scare me off. There's nothing fluky about it, right? 15 rebounds on 23 rebound chances. Yeah, this game went into overtime. I think maybe even double overtime. Maybe it was just the 1. Either way, 23 rebound chances. You take away 5 rebound chances because of overtime, which is probably not the case, but even if we just want to be conservative, that's still 18. Now, 1 bad game. He's allowed to have a bad game. 6 rebounds on 9 rebound chances. 6 of 9 is a nice number, not in this case, but then 15 rebound chances, 17. He's averaging 16 rebound chances per game. Last year, he averaged 11.4. So while these numbers seem crazy high, they're not crazy with what he's been averaging. You want to know why? Look who's out. Benedict Mathurin, Obi Toppin. From last year's team, I guess we can't go back. Andrew Nembhard also out. Obviously, Halliburton's out. TJ McConnell is out. There's just nobody left. They don't really have any centers. Obviously, they lost Miles Turner in free agency. So there's just nobody left on this team to rebound. And you look at the matchup, it's pretty good. You hover over the Hawks here, one thing I love about Props Madness is you just hover over the matchup. All this stuff comes up. Obviously, you can't see. I wish I had like a pointer on the screen to show you where my mouse is, because if I scroll off, it goes away. But rebounds allowed, 5th most. Defensive rank versus position, meaning how many rebounds do they allow per his position, which is a forward. 7th most. Offensive rebounds allowed, 6th most. Defensive rebounds allowed, 7th most. Pace, the Hawks actually aren't playing at that fast of a pace, 14th, but they're still a very good matchup for rebounds. And then the assists, obviously we're taking the double-double. It's if he's going to get there, the most likely scenario is that it's on the boards. I think he's going to have an outlier assist matchup where he has like 10 assists on 11 potential assists, kind of like what we saw here. That was actually 6 of 11, but he's just had a really bad conversion rate. Now, there's not many people on his team that can make shots, which does have to do with his conversion rate. But The Hawks are also a decent assist matchup. Not quite as good as the rebounds, but I do think that it's possible that he could have, again, a crazy outlier assist game. So I really like the double-double for Pascal Siakam. The price here, I should have mentioned that at the beginning, it's best offered at plus 160 at Bet365. I would take plus 140 at Hard Rock. And then I wouldn't really go much below the plus 119 at DraftKings. I think you're kind of losing the value there. But plus 160 at 365 is very, very good. That's play number one. Next up, this is our juicy ladder climb of the day. Now, I'm only risking 0.7 units total. But we're actually going to Derrick White. And we're taking him 25 plus, which is plus 200 for a half unit. 30 plus, which is plus 560 for 0.1 units. 35 plus, for another 0.1 units, that's plus 1,300. So the odds obviously are incredibly juicy here. If he scores 25 plus points, then we're easily cashing out of our Derrick White ladder. And you're going to wonder why. Okay, why are we laddering Derrick White? He's only hit 25 points once this year. Just look at how he's been shooting. 7 of 20, 4 of 13 from the field. Now he got to the line 7 times, which is very good. 5 of 18 from the field, 3 of 11 from deep. 6 of 18 from the field, 3 of 11 from deep. 5 of 14 from the field, 1 of 9 from deep, 5 of 20 from the field, 3 of 12 from deep. Obviously, when you're taking such a heavy percentage of your shots from the three-point line, your shooting splits are going to be terrible. These are terrible even for him. I mean, he hasn't had one game where he shot above 31% from three. This is the best game he has had from deep. It's 4 of 13 from three-point range. I love the fact that he's continuing to get shots up, and he is going to continue to get shots up. And kind of the way I feel about Pascal Siakam with his assists, Derrick White's going to have a game where he goes like 10 of 12 from deep. Like you look at his 3 points last year, like 7, 6, 5, 7, 5. Like he's had these games where he's absolutely blown up from 3-point range. And that's what's going to happen with Derrick White. That's why, I mean, I felt the same way about Steph Curry. Obviously, it didn't work in our favor. But that's why I don't think the main line at 20.5 makes that much sense. Because if he's scoring over 20.5 points, it's probably because he's having a much better shooting game, in which case he's going to score 25 is kind of the way I think about it. I really like the matchup against the Sixers, who the Sixers are 4-0. Don't let that distract you from the fact that their defense has been horrible. Defensive net rating, 6th worst in the NBA. But what I want to highlight here is that very first thing you see in the green under opponent stats, D rank versus DPT, defensive rank versus the play type, which is the pick and roll ball handler. That's how Derrick White scores the majority of his points. Sixers are the 2nd worst defense in the NBA, guarding the pick and roll ball handler. They're also the 5th worst defense via transition. Now they're slightly above average via spot ups. They foul at a slightly below average or above average rate. I guess they foul at a higher rate, which means that they're a good matchup for free throws and they're average on dribble handoffs. But a lot of this transition comes from running and shooting, which is for Derrick White, which is perfect for this matchup against the Sixers, who are not a good transition defense. You look at similar players. LaMelo had a good game against them. In that same game, Colin Sexton. Now, we know that Derrick White, the only game he scored 25 was this matchup against the Sixers. The other guys in that game, they just shot horribly. 2 of 6. Granted, that's Anthony Simons. And then Peyton Pritchard, 1 of 7. So the Celtics lost this game against the Sixers. They really didn't shoot that well, and they still scored a bunch of points. So Derrick White, he is going to have a game where he goes, again, 7 of 9, 10 of 13 from deep. Like, he's taken double digits in every game except for one. He went 1 of 9 in this one. They won by 32 points. This game's probably going to be close one way or another. So I like, again, we're taking a high ladder climb, but I do think that it's very solid. That's play number 2. Next up, just right down the list, we do have a play in the Raptors versus Cavaliers game. We're backing DeAndre Hunter, and we're taking him on the PRA. So I took over 24.5, which the odds have gone a little bit up. It was minus 105 at Fanatics, which isn't showing up here. Maybe I can pull up Fanatics, which is one thing that's cool about, I guess I can't add it. Cool about Props Madness is you can kind of change what books you want to have up here. They can't pull Fanatics, but it's minus 105 there. The minus 120 for over 23 at Hard Rock is a good pivot. Bet365 has it over 23.5 at minus 115, but I think it makes sense to just go up one more, get the better price at minus 105 at Fanatics. Now, he's only hit this in 1 of 3 games, but let's just go through all 3 of these categories, and you're going to sense the theme with how I do these plays. But look at the efficiency. 6 of 13, below 50%. 4 of 11, below 40%. 5 of 17, below 30%. he's taking a ton of shots. He's not making a ton of shots, but he's getting to the line like 5 free throws, 3 free throws, 5 free throws. Like that is a good baseline for somebody that who in order for his PRA, like he just needs to go over 17.5 points. I think 20 plus is a decent value. And look at the defensive net rating of these teams that he's played. The Bucks, 10th best defensive rating. The Pistons, 11th best. The Celtics, 9th best. Well, look at this matchup against the Toronto Raptors. Defensive rating, 29th. They are the second worst defense in the entire NBA. They allow the 5th most points in the paint. They play at the 4th fastest pace. They run and they don't play defense. It's a dream matchup for guys to score points. And you want to look at the play types, spot up, where 61% of the points from DeAndre Hunter comes from. 7th worst in the NBA. Free throws, where I mentioned he's doing a great job getting to the line. They foul at the 3rd highest rate in the NFL, or NFL, in the NBA. One similar player to DeAndre Hunter is Jabari Smith Jr. His over-under was 13.5. He scored 25 points. So I think his points could get up to 20. His assists, where I think if you're going to take a ladder, I think it makes the most sense to take an assist ladder, because look at his potential assists versus how many assists he's actually gotten. 2 assists, 9 potentials. 6 assists on 9. Okay, that is the outlier that I talk about. You're going to have those games. And then only 2 assists on 8 potential assists. Again, horrible conversion. He's averaging 3 assists per game on 8.7 potential assists. When you're averaging 8, 9 potential assists, at a minimum, you should have 4 actual assists. The ceiling of that is like 5 or 6. We're getting over 2.5 for plus money. So if you're going to take a ladder play here, ladder him up to 6 assists. I think that is incredibly solid. Then the rebounds is where he's been the most reasonable in terms of what he's converting. 4 of 10 is bad, but 5 of 8 is good, and 6 of 12 is average. So when you put that all together, these 2 categories, he's due for success. And I like the matchup for all 3 of them. I forgot to mention here, but the assists allowed, 5th most in the NBA, and rebounds allowed, 8th most in the NBA, but it's all because of their pace. So you put that all together, and you get a pretty good PRA matchup for DeAndre Hunter. That's play number 3. And then my 4th and final pick of the video, it happened to be the first 4 games, is in the Knicks Bulls. And I'm taking Jalen Brunson, and I'm taking him on the assists. Now, this is a perfect play that I love. He literally has not hit it in 1 game this year. 7.5 assists. It's plus 120 at Fanatics. I would still take plus 114 at FanDuel and DraftKings. As long as you're getting plus 110 and above, I'm good. So yeah, he hasn't hit it in 1 time. Well, look at these potential assists. So not good in the Cavs game, not good in the Bucks game. 2 tough defenses. The Cavs allow the 11th fewest assists, as I mentioned. The Bucks allow the 7th fewest. Actually, the Celtics allow the 2nd fewest, so they're a tough matchup. But 17 potential assists. In 1 good matchup this year against the Heat, 19 potential assists, only converted 7. Horrible conversion rate. That's not going to continue. The Heat, again, they're the only matchup that's good for assists, and they're still like 14th. It's not like that's actually that good of a matchup. They're a little bit better for point guard assists. They're allow the 6th most, which makes sense here. And that is why we like this matchup, or we like this play, is because of the matchup against the Chicago Bulls. They allow the 7th most assists per game to point guards. Now, their defense has actually been very good. 4th best defensive net rating. I don't think that's going to continue. Even so, they've allowed the most buckets in the restricted area. That's where Brunson gets 30% of his assists. Now, they don't do a lot of the above the break right now. Last year, they were a much better matchup for above the break. So I think that's kind of going to normalize the above the break stuff. They were 22nd in terms of that. Still bad at the rim. And you look at similar point guards against them. Trae Young, 17 assists, over-under was 10.5. He had 26 potential assists. Cade Cunningham, 10 assists on 17 potential assists. Now, the Kings game, Schroeder went over. Russell Westbrook did not, but 8 potential assists, so he had a super high conversion rate. 4 of 7 is kind of more reasonable. And then you look at this head-to-head. The last 2 years he's played them, averaging 9.6 assists per game. He's averaging, if you look at potential assists, he's averaging 15.7, up from his average of 12.3. And you look at last year, his only year that he's played with Karl Anthony Towns, 8 on 14, 8 on 12, 12 on 21. Granted, that game went into overtime, but still. So consistently gone over his assist prop against this Bulls team. And as good as the Bulls have been this year, I'm not necessarily a believer that their defense is going to continue to be that good. I think they're going to start being a very good point guard assist matchup. And they've already kind of been this year even though their defense has been good, which I do think leaves some room for improvement. This game doesn't really bother me because the Bucks are a team where he scores against. That's why I scored 36 points. Granted, he put up 37 against the Heat when they are an assist matchup, and then kind of the same thing with the Celtics, 31 points, but 17 potential assists. So I think that there's a ton of value on Jalen Brunson on his assist prop, and that's all we got. So 4 total bangers, 4 total players that we are backing. We're risking 3.75 units total. We sweep the board, which let's say we just sweep the Derrick White 25 plus. He doesn't score 30 or 35. I need to update that here. If that happens, we're profiting 4.6 units. That would be very, very nice. I would need that a lot. And if we are able to get these last 2, let's say he blows up for 35, profiting Mark of the Devil, 6.66 units. If only Derrick White comes through and nobody else does, just kind of play around with some numbers, guess what? We're basically breaking even if only Derrick White comes through. So like the board, like the slate that we have for today. Thank you everybody for watching. Check out Props Madness. Like the video, comment, subscribe. Make sure to bet responsibly and have a good one.